My friends, there comes a moment in our modern world when you must stop long enough to see what is really happening between people. The way we love has changed. The way we commit has shifted. The way we stay or fail to stay reflects not only our hearts, but the weight of the world pressing on them. Today's relationships often crumble not because love has disappeared, but because patience has grown thin, wounds have grown deep, and the world has grown fast. Too fast for some hearts to keep up. We live in a time where feelings are loud but effort is quiet, where people want the warmth of connection without the work of building it, where the moment something becomes difficult, someone convinces themselves they deserve better, forgetting that every great love requires weathering storms, not just sharing sunshine. Today's relationships don't last because we rush into love with empty hands and high expectations. We ask another human to fill every gap inside us, gaps that only healing, honesty, and self-understanding can mend. And when they fail to fix wounds that were never theirs to fix, we declare the relationship broken. Today's relationships don't last because we fear being vulnerable. We fear being seen. We fear letting someone close enough to touch the tender places we have hidden for years. So we keep our walls high and our connections shallow. Safe but lonely, protected but unfulfilled. Today's relationships don't last because people confuse communication with convenience, connection with attachment, chemistry with compatibility. And instead of staying long enough to grow real love, many leave at the first sign of inconvenience, forgetting that love grows through the fire, not outside it. And yet beneath all this, the truth is simple. Relationships struggle because people forget the sacred work of choosing each other every day. Love is not sustained by emotion alone. It is carried by intention. By truth, by compassion, by patience, by two people willing to grow, not just to be adored. If we want relationships that last, we must return to the basics: honesty, empathy, respect, effort, and presence. We must learn to love not with fear, but with courage, not with escape routes, but with open doors. Only then can love root itself deeply enough to survive. There is a quiet tragedy that begins long before a relationship ever falters, the moment we enter the hearts of others carrying unhealed wounds. Many people step into love not from a place of wholeness, but from a place of longing, emptiness, or unresolved pain. We often seek another person to complete us, to soothe the voids left behind by childhood neglect, past betrayals, or years of self-doubt. And while love has the power to heal, it cannot replace the work of healing that must be done within ourselves. When we depend on someone else to fill these gaps, we place a weight upon them that no heart can truly carry. And the relationship begins under a quiet strain that is rarely acknowledged until it grows too heavy to bear. Too often, people confuse infatuation with emotional readiness. A spark of attraction, a rush of adrenaline, or a comforting presence can feel like the answer to loneliness, but it is merely the surface of something deeper. Emotional readiness requires patience, introspection, and the courage to face one's own flaws and insecurities. It requires the understanding that love is not a cure for pain, but a mirror that reflects it back at us, demanding that we confront what we have carried silently. When we enter relationships unprepared, we mistake temporary comfort for long-term stability, and we do not realize that the excitement of connection can mask underlying instability until the foundation begins to crack. Another aspect of emotional unreadiness is the failure to recognize personal patterns. Many people unconsciously repeat the same behaviors in relationships, clinging too tightly, withdrawing too quickly, projecting insecurities, or fearing intimacy. These patterns are learned over years, often beginning in childhood, and they do not disappear simply because someone new enters our lives. Without awareness and reflection, these habits shape the course of a relationship, creating misunderstandings, conflicts, and disappointments. Entering love without examining our own tendencies is like setting sail without understanding the tides. The journey may seem beautiful at first, but it is bound to encounter turbulence that could have been avoided. Emotional unreadiness is also expressed through unrealistic expectations. People often enter relationships expecting their partner to fulfill all of their emotional needs, to provide constant validation, or to be a solution to their insecurities. This expectation creates an unbalanced dynamic where one person is positioned as the giver and the other as the receiver, instead of two people walking side by side. When the inevitable reality of human imperfection emerges, when moods change, desires conflict, or mistakes are made, disappointment sets in. Love, in this sense, is not rejected for its inadequacy, but for the unrealistic pedestal upon which it has been placed, making the relationship more fragile than it could have been. The lack of emotional readiness also affects communication and conflict resolution. People unprepared for intimacy often struggle to express their needs and feelings constructively. They may lash out in anger, retreat into silence, or avoid difficult conversations entirely. When both partners bring unresolved emotional baggage into the relationship, misunderstandings compound, arguments escalate, and emotional distance widens. A relationship requires not only love, but the ability to navigate challenges together. Without the foundation of emotional maturity, even small disagreements can grow into insurmountable obstacles, eroding the connection that once seemed unbreakable. Finally, entering relationships without emotional readiness prevents true intimacy from flourishing. Love thrives in the soil of self-awareness, patience, and vulnerability. When one or both people are emotionally unprepared, the relationship can feel superficial, transactional, or conditional. We may mistake physical closeness, shared routines, or temporary excitement for genuine connection. But these are only shadows of what deep, enduring love requires. Emotional readiness allows individuals to show up authentically, to support each other's growth, and to weather life's storms together. Without it, relationships are left fragile, fleeting, and often unable to survive the inevitable tests of time and change. In today's world, love has become a race, a fleeting experience measured by instant gratification and rapid outcomes. Many people enter relationships expecting everything to be immediate: instant connection, instant understanding, and instant happiness. The reality is far more demanding. Love is not a transaction. It is a journey, and the journey requires time, patience, and a willingness to endure discomfort. Relationships that lack these qualities are like gardens abandoned at the first frost. They never have the chance to grow deep roots or bear lasting fruit. Without patience, even the most promising love stories are cut short before they can fully unfold. Modern love often thrives on convenience rather than commitment. When challenges arise, many are quick to step back rather than step forward. Difficult conversations, disagreements, and emotional turbulence are seen as signs of incompatibility rather than opportunities for growth. People forget that enduring love is not about avoiding hardship, but about walking through it together. The willingness to stay through pain, to navigate misunderstandings, and to work on one's own faults is what separates relationships that last from those that fade. When endurance is absent, even minor challenges become insurmountable obstacles. The culture of immediacy also breeds unrealistic expectations. Social media, movies, and online portrayals of love suggest that romance should be effortless, exciting, and unchanging. When reality fails to meet these idealized images, frustration and disappointment set in. People who are unprepared for the ebb and flow of real-life relationships may abandon connections at the first sign of boredom, inconvenience, or disagreement. True love, however, is not about constant excitement, but about consistent presence, small acts of kindness, and the quiet strength of shared life. Without patience, these subtle forms of love are overlooked or undervalued. Another aspect of modern impatience is the fear of effort. Relationships require consistent work, daily gestures of attention, empathy, compromise, and understanding. This work is rarely glamorous and often goes unnoticed, but it is the foundation upon which lasting love is built. In contrast, contemporary love often seeks to minimize effort, expecting emotions alone to sustain connection. When effort is seen as burdensome rather than transformative, relationships suffer. The absence of endurance creates a fragile love that falters when life introduces its inevitable complications, proving that love is not only felt but cultivated. Endurance in love is also tied to the ability to forgive. Every relationship faces moments of hurt, misunderstanding, or disappointment. In enduring relationships, forgiveness acts as a bridge over these troubled waters, allowing connection to continue despite human imperfection. Modern impatience, however, often rejects forgiveness, viewing mistakes as deal breakers rather than as opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. Without patience and forgiveness, resentment accumulates quietly, weakening the bond between partners. Love, in this sense, is not destroyed by absence of affection, but by the absence of perseverance. Finally, the lack of patience in modern relationships undermines the capacity for true intimacy. Deep connection is forged not in fleeting moments of joy, but in sustained presence through both joy and struggle. When love is treated as disposable, people miss the beauty of growth that comes from shared experiences, problem solving, and enduring emotional closeness. Patience and endurance are not passive qualities. They are active commitments to show up, listen, and remain present even when circumstances are challenging. Without these qualities, relationships remain shallow and transient, unable to withstand the test of time, circumstance, and human imperfection. At the heart of every lasting relationship lies the willingness to be seen fully, our fears, our flaws, and our deepest desires. Yet, in modern times, vulnerability has become a rare and frightening act. Many people fear opening themselves to another human being because it requires exposing parts of themselves they have spent years hiding, sometimes even from their own awareness. Vulnerability means risking rejection, disappointment, or judgment, and in a world that often celebrates perfection and self-sufficiency, the act of being genuinely vulnerable can feel almost revolutionary. Yet, without it, relationships remain surface level, built more on convenience, appearances, or fleeting emotions than on the deep, sustaining connection that only openness can create. Avoiding vulnerability often starts early in life, with the subtle messages we receive from family, society, or past experiences. We are taught to protect ourselves, to hide pain, and to present a curated version of who we are. While this protection may serve a purpose in childhood, carrying it into adult relationships creates barriers that prevent true intimacy. People enter partnerships with masks on, believing they are safeguarding themselves from hurt, while unintentionally depriving their partner of the authentic connection they crave. The irony is that avoidance of vulnerability does not shield the heart. It leaves it isolated, misunderstood, and fragile, causing relationships to falter under the weight of unspoken truths. Another dimension of avoiding vulnerability is the fear of emotional dependence. Many believe that relying on someone emotionally is a sign of weakness, so they withhold their fears, dreams, and needs. They may share trivial details, maintain polite conversation, and perform acts of affection, but they stop short of revealing the layers that make them truly human. In doing so, They create an illusion of connection while keeping a gulf of distance between themselves and the other person. This half-hearted intimacy can leave partners feeling frustrated, unfulfilled, and uncertain, slowly eroding trust and closeness over time. Love, after all, cannot thrive in a space that remains guarded and compartmentalized. Avoidance of vulnerability also manifests in avoidance of conflict. When people fear being truly known, they may shy away from honest conversations about pain, boundaries, or unmet needs. Instead of addressing difficulties directly, they retreat, suppress emotions, or mask dissatisfaction. This creates a dangerous silence where misunderstandings fester and resentment grows. Relationships are not fragile because challenges exist. They are fragile because challenges are left unresolved. The courage to express fears, disappointments, and desires, even when uncomfortable, is what allows love to deepen and evolve. Without this courage, even the most affectionate relationships are at risk of quietly collapsing under tension and unspoken words. Social media and modern dating culture have also contributed to the avoidance of vulnerability. Platforms encourage curated versions of life and love, where appearances matter more than authenticity. People are conditioned to present only their best selves, to filter out discomfort, uncertainty, or struggle. While this may garner approval and admiration from outsiders, it sabotages the very connections they seek in their closest relationships. Vulnerability requires embracing imperfection, sharing fears openly, and accepting the possibility of judgment. In an environment that celebrates polished facades, practicing such openness requires conscious effort and extraordinary courage. Finally, embracing vulnerability is not a weakness but a form of strength that fosters resilience and intimacy. It allows couples to share joy and sorrow, success and failure, without pretense. Vulnerability invites empathy, understanding, and profound trust. It transforms a relationship from a superficial bond into a sanctuary, where both individuals feel seen, valued, and accepted for all they are, flaws, fears, and all. Avoiding vulnerability may offer temporary protection from pain, but it denies the relationship the depth and durability that only genuine openness can provide. Love that avoids this essential act is like a flower that never blooms fully. It may survive, but it can never thrive. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship, yet in today's fast-paced world, it has often been reduced to brief exchanges, emojis, or hurried texts. People speak, but they do not connect. They share, but they do not reveal. Modern love frequently mistakes constant contact for meaningful dialogue, assuming that sending a message or liking a post equals intimacy. True communication, however, requires presence, attention, and depth. Without these, words float like leaves on water, visible but never touching the roots of understanding. Relationships falter not because people cannot speak, but because they fail to truly communicate with honesty, vulnerability, and intention. Many avoid deep communication out of fear of conflict or discomfort. Expressing feelings fully often means confronting insecurities, admitting mistakes, or acknowledging unmet needs. Such honesty can feel threatening in a world that prizes appearance over authenticity. Instead of engaging in meaningful dialogue, people retreat into vague statements, avoidance, or surface-level reassurance. They may appear polite or affectionate, but beneath the words lies a growing gap between partners. Misunderstandings multiply silently, and resentment accumulates quietly, leaving love strained and fragile. Communication without depth is like a river without water. Its form remains, but its life is gone. The digital age has further complicated our ability to communicate effectively. Texts, emails, and social media messages often replace face-to-face conversations, and these mediums cannot carry the nuance of tone, expression, and emotional resonance. Messages are interpreted, misinterpreted, or dismissed, creating friction where none was intended. Couples can spend hours talking online while feeling more distant than ever. The ease of sending words without the effort of truly listening fosters impatience, misunderstanding, and superficial engagement. Love, in its most enduring form, cannot survive on convenience alone. It demands the presence and attentiveness that only true conversation can provide. Another challenge is the tendency to confuse quantity with quality. Modern partners often equate constant texting, frequent check-ins, or social media interactions with effective communication. Yet, repeated shallow exchanges cannot replace thoughtful, reflective, and meaningful conversations. True dialogue involves listening without judgment, speaking with honesty, and engaging in mutual understanding. It is not about proving interest or winning arguments. It is about cultivating connection. Without this depth, relationships risk drifting into routine, where partners coexist but do not truly understand, support, or inspire each other. Communication also falters when people are unwilling to be fully accountable for their words and actions. Many avoid difficult conversations because they fear responsibility, vulnerability, or the discomfort of being misunderstood. They may withhold their needs, mask their emotions, or speak in ways that protect themselves rather than build the relationship. This creates an imbalance where one person's voice dominates, or worse, where silence replaces dialogue entirely. In such a dynamic, love cannot grow, it stagnates. Real endurance in relationships comes not from avoiding pain, but from engaging in dialogue that is courageous, empathetic, and consistent. Finally, relationships break down when communication is treated as optional rather than essential. It is not enough to simply be present physically or share moments superficially. Connection requires ongoing, intentional exchange. Couples must carve out time to explore each other's inner worlds, express fears and desires, and navigate challenges together. Consistency, clarity, and vulnerability in communication are what transform fleeting attraction into lasting partnership. Without this effort, relationships drift like ships without rudders, adrift directionless and vulnerable to the storms of misunderstanding and neglect. In essence, the health of a relationship is measured not by how often people speak, but by how deeply they listen, understand, and respond to one another. In the modern world of love, there is a dangerous illusion that chemistry alone is enough to sustain a relationship. Passion, excitement, and physical attraction are often mistaken for the deeper qualities that create enduring partnerships. While chemistry can ignite a connection and make hearts race, it is not a guarantee of long-term success. Compatibility, the alignment of values, goals, communication styles, and emotional maturity, is what allows love to survive the tests of time. Without it, relationships often collapse once the initial spark fades, leaving confusion, heartbreak, and disillusionment in its wake. Many enter relationships chasing the thrill of intensity, mistaking excitement for a sign of true connection. The butterflies, the rapid heartbeat, and the sense of being meant to be can be intoxicating, but these feelings are fleeting. Chemistry can draw two people together quickly, but it does not ensure that they can navigate life's complexities as a team. Compatibility requires patience, understanding, compromise, and shared vision, qualities that are cultivated over time, not felt instantly. When individuals prioritize temporary exhilaration over long-term alignment, they set themselves up for disappointment, discovering too late that passion alone cannot sustain a partnership. The confusion between chemistry and compatibility is also amplified by societal portrayals of love. Movies, songs, and social media often glorify the thrill of infatuation, teaching people to equate strong feelings with lasting connection. This cultural narrative encourages individuals to seek emotional highs rather than meaningful alignment. They may overlook red flags, ignore incompatible values, or rationalize behaviors that undermine long-term harmony. In the process, they invest in relationships that feel intense in the moment, but lack the foundation to endure challenges, growth, and the ordinary rhythms of everyday life. Another challenge lies in the human desire for instant validation. Chemistry can provide immediate emotional gratification, making people feel seen, desired, and alive. Compatibility, however, requires the willingness to engage with discomfort, compromise, and differing perspectives. Modern love often undervalues this slower, quieter work, favoring emotional highs over steady, dependable connection. Without the commitment to understand and adapt to each other's needs, partners may find themselves drifting apart once the excitement wanes. The absence of compatibility transforms initial passion into frustration, resentment, or boredom. Confusing chemistry with compatibility also leads to repeated mistakes. People may leave relationships at the first sign of challenge, believing that a lack of thrill signals failure, only to repeat the cycle with someone new. This pattern reinforces the illusion that relationships are disposable, leaving hearts weary and disillusioned. True compatibility, in contrast, asks for endurance, mutual respect, and the ability to grow together. It is not always glamorous or sensational, but it provides the stability and depth that chemistry alone cannot offer. Without it, love is like a fire that burns brightly for a night and dies by morning. Finally, embracing compatibility requires self-awareness, reflection, and honesty. People must understand their own values, priorities, and long-term goals before recognizing alignment in another. They must differentiate between the intoxication of immediate attraction and the quiet strength of shared life vision. Chemistry is a spark. Compatibility is the wood, the kindling, and the patient tending that allows a fire to burn through storms, seasons, and challenges. Confusing the two leads to fragile relationships, heartbreak, and a cycle of short-lived connections. True love demands both, the thrill of connection and the groundedness of shared purpose, patience, and enduring alignment. The most enduring relationships are not sustained by mere feelings. They are sustained by deliberate choice. Love is not a one-time decision made at the beginning of a relationship. It is a daily commitment, a conscious effort to show up, to forgive, to nurture, and to prioritize another human being despite life's challenges. Many modern relationships falter because people assume that initial passion or mutual attraction is enough to carry them through the years. They forget that the act of choosing to love, to stay present, and to invest in each other every single day is the foundation upon which lasting partnerships are built. Failing to choose love daily often stems from the illusion that love is effortless. Movies, media, and popular culture suggest that true love should feel easy, constant, and magical, without requiring patience, compromise, or understanding. When reality introduces disagreement, fatigue, or conflict, individuals may misinterpret these normal dynamics as signs that love has failed. In truth, love is tested and strengthened through these challenges. It is the repeated decision to act with compassion, to listen without judgment, and to remain committed even when emotions falter that defines the difference between fleeting romance and enduring partnership. Choosing love daily also requires a deep awareness of one's own shortcomings and the willingness to work on them. Relationships are mirrors. They reflect our insecurities, our habits, and our fears. When love is taken for granted or assumed to be automatic, individuals often fail to address their own behaviors that may undermine connection. It is only through the conscious choice to grow, adapt, and respond with empathy that love is fortified. Every small act of understanding, patience, and kindness becomes a deliberate affirmation that the relationship is valued, respected, and worth sustaining. The absence of daily choice often leads to complacency. Partners may stop communicating meaningfully, neglect shared responsibilities, or fail to express appreciation. Over time, these small omissions accumulate, creating distance and resentment. Love is not a static force. It is dynamic, requiring attention, care, and reinforcement. Choosing love daily transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for connection. It is found in the small gestures, listening attentively, forgiving gently, supporting consistently, and celebrating each other's growth. When this deliberate effort ceases, relationships weaken, not because love has disappeared, but because the conscious acts that sustain it have been abandoned. Daily choice in love also encompasses the courage to remain present during difficulty. Life is unpredictable, filled with challenges that test the resilience of any partnership. Choosing love every day means showing up not only during moments of joy, but also in the face of disappointment, frustration, and hardship. It means prioritizing the relationship over ego, convenience, or fleeting impulses. Without this daily commitment, even the strongest bonds can fray under pressure, leaving partners feeling unsupported, lonely, or undervalued. Enduring relationships are rarely perfect, but they thrive when both individuals consciously decide to invest, remain compassionate, and navigate adversity together. Finally, love that is chosen daily becomes a source of strength, resilience, and deep connection. It teaches patience, humility, and empathy. It creates a sanctuary where both individuals feel safe, seen, and cherished, not because love is effortless, but because it is intentional. Modern relationships often fail because people overlook this truth, assuming that feelings alone are sufficient. The reality is that love is a verb, an ongoing action, a conscious choice repeated over and over, even when it is difficult, even when it is inconvenient, and even when it requires sacrifice. When both partners embrace this commitment, love transforms from a fleeting emotion into a durable, life-giving force. And so, my friends, we return to the heart of the matter. Love, in all its beauty and complexity, is not a fleeting feeling or a convenient arrangement. It is a deliberate choice, a courageous act, and a daily commitment to show up fully, to give freely, and to remain present even when the world challenges us. Today's relationships often falter not because love is absent, but because patience, vulnerability, communication, compatibility, and conscious choice are overlooked. Love demands more than desire. It demands courage, honesty, and persistence. To cultivate relationships that last, we must first turn inward. We must heal our own wounds, embrace our own vulnerabilities, and grow into the people capable of sustaining love over a lifetime. Then we must meet another human being with open hearts, not masks, and with hands ready not only to receive, but to build, nurture, and protect. Love is not a gift given once and forgotten. It is a garden we tend together, day after day, with care, compassion, and commitment. Let us remember that enduring relationships are built on effort as much as on emotion. They are shaped by patience in difficulty, courage in vulnerability, and truth in communication. They are strengthened by shared growth, mutual respect, and the daily act of choosing each other even when circumstances are hard. Love that is conscious, intentional, and enduring can withstand the storms of life, the tests of time, and the trials of human imperfection. It is in this deliberate, mindful, and courageous love that we find connection, joy, and the kind of intimacy that sustains the soul. And finally, know this: relationships that endure are not perfect, but they are profound. They require work, yes, but they also offer transformation. They teach us resilience, empathy, and the boundless capacity of the human heart to give, receive, and grow. When we love with honesty, patience, and purpose, we create more than a relationship. We create a sanctuary of trust, understanding, and unwavering presence. And in that sacred space, love does not simply survive, it thrives.